Silly.
Light.
It's an offer letter dated October 1st.
Hey
Why on earth
everybody,
would I
and welcome
sign
to
that?
Now Loading, coming to you live from the Ustream Studios in Hollywood, California. I'm Will.
No! I'm Shane, and my figure that I tried so hard to get to stand up just fell down.
And each week we're going to be bringing you the latest gaming news, previews, and interviews from those within the industry.
Right, and I'll be live with you on the stream and in the chat to take your questions for our guest tonight.
And tonight our guest is Andrea Rene from Machinima. And I actually wanted to celebrate the Hunger Games coming out with the original Hunger Game, Burger Time. Go pick it up on NES. It's amazing.
Very nice, very nice. In the meantime, though, let's take a look at headlines.
So, Congressman Frank Wolf and Joe Baca are putting forth a bill called the Violence in Video Games Labeling Act. What this will do is pretty much put a second label on video games, aside from the ESRB, that says that video games are linked to violent behavior with kids. The problem with that is that there's not really any evidence to support that. So basically what they're trying to do is put a lie on every game that comes out.
Right.
It's a bit absurd.
Right, well, all you have to do to figure out why this is happening is take a look at the calendar. It's 2012, it's an election year, so there's plenty of people out there up for re-election that are doing everything they can to excite their base, and there's still nothing quite like a good old-fashioned witch hunt against a new media, such as video games, to put the blame on for why their kids are acting up, those kids these days.
Exactly. I'm sure that next week it'll be sugar or something along those lines that they're trying to demonize.
In their defense, pixie sticks are pretty addictive.
Yeah, you could put them on sandwiches and stuff. Those are pretty tasty. But I mean, really, you got the thing that really hurts me about this is that Joe Baca was against the SOPA Act, which we talked about a couple weeks ago, and so I really kind of got behind him in the video game world and everything. And then he goes and throws this out. You lost me, and you know, I'll have to double think about who I vote for. So.
Next up, we have In Exile founder Brian Fargo, who is working on his current Kickstarter campaign for Wasteland 2, has come up with a good idea for all the good fortune that that Kickstarter developers have been getting over the last couple of months with the Kickstarter campaigns that we've all been covering on the shows. His idea is to kick it forward. Basically, what he's suggesting is that every video game developer that gets a profit from a completed game through Kickstarter to take 5% of those profits and bring it back by funding other games to develop in the future and kickstart those future projects.
Exactly, and it pushes, you know, why people would want to use Kickstarter, because, you know, if you get a profit from your game and you get backed by other gaming companies and things like that, you know, it's also a selling point where you say, hey, you know, In Exile believed in me so much that they put money towards my game, which is a selling point for independent developers out there. It's a really good idea, and I really hope that it goes through. Right.
One of the things we've been concerned about is how new developers can get in on this Kickstarter craze, because it's pretty easy for a big name like Brian Fargo or Tim Schafer to get money for their campaigns because they're a known quantity. But for people that are out there making their very first game, it's very difficult for them to get any kind of exposure. The Kick It Forward program allows that industry heavyweights to lend their names behind new projects and get them some publicity that they desperately need to get these games off the ground. This is just another example of how the industry is finding ways around the publisher system that's existed for so long, and it's going to be up to the publishers to figure out what their relevant position is if this kind of system takes off. But I'm definitely looking forward to see how it turns out.
And one game that was created without a publisher and was on popular gaming websites as Congregate and Armor Games, basically free games, is a game that was called One in One Story. The developer of it, Mattia Traverso, however, had a big wake-up call this week when somebody stole his game, code and all, put it on the Apple Store, and started selling it. Obviously, you can see why he was a bit upset. He actually turned to Twitter in order to try and get people to pull this game down, try and get people to stop it. And other indie gamers and developers backed him up and have resolved the issue. But it's still quite scary for independent developers to put their games on the internet just to have them stolen and put on the App Store so somebody else makes money off of it.
Right. Well, there's no lengths to which certain people will go to make money and to steal their profits off the back of other players. So it's another developers. It's a good thing that we have a very strong community that's able to leap to the defense of an indie developer like this that doesn't have much recourse. It's very difficult for a struggling one-man operation to build a legal team to stop something like this. So thankfully, with the force of the internet, we were able to do something for the good side.
Yeah, and it's really happy, it's really great, like you said, that it's finally been pulled off the App Store. Action isn't really going to be taken because it was stolen by some people in China, but he's got his game back. He everything's solved, and he should be good to go. And
on the upside, he's got a little bit of publicity to go with it too.
True.
So good on him. Speaking of publicity, Draw Something, the makers of that are Omgpop, were bought by Zynga this week for $200 million. $200 million. That's a big pile of cash. So it amazes me that they were able to get purchased this quickly. I'd only first started hearing about Draw Something a couple of weeks ago. It just kind of popped into our radar as people started, sending their Facebook requests to other people, and people started drawing their ice cream cakes and their barrels from Donkey Kong. And to see it get bought up this fast, it just goes to show, how relevant Zynga still is. They're on the, love them or hate them, they're definitely on the pulse of what's popular right now. So they swoop that up pretty quick. And I just hope that it doesn't turn into Draw Something with friends,
Yeah.
But if they keep the basic core gameplay and keep the the fun breezy stuff and don't try to add in too many pay to win purchasing schemes, I'll be very, very happy to see the game succeed. But grats to Omgpop for a big, giant, fat check. Can you draw a pile of $200 million for us, please? I'd love to see what that looks like.
True, and the game is really great. If you have an iPhone or I believe it's on iPad, go ahead and download it. It's free. It's a ton of fun. And for the love of God, don't draw the word that you're trying to guess. I immediately delete those people. I don't need the coins that bad.
Honestly, I mean, come on.
So let's go right into our previews. There we go.
I'm gonna dance if we are.
So my preview for this week is the latest expansion for Saints Row the Third. The premise is Johnny Gat, who was killed in the first few minutes of the actual story, has been cloned by a couple of his, chewing gum and glasses and stuff like that, and things have gone horribly wrong. So check out this trailer.
You cloned Gat?
Wait, where are you guys going?
We are going to find our friend.
This is so fucking awesome!
Sit the fuck down, Jimmy.
Well, the mouth on you, sir. The umbrage, my goodness. All right, so my preview for this week is Wing Commander Saga. This is actually a a full replacement of Free Space 2. The code was released a few years ago, and this small indie operation has been building this series from the ground up. This is going to be a series of new missions and new storyline campaigns for the Wing Commander universe. While this is not an official released game, it is going to be available for free, and I believe is out now. But I'm a huge fan of this series, and any entry that we can get is exciting, so take a look.
Hermes, Archer Alpha reporting in.
Looks like the entertainment has arrived. I've got Kill Rappy on my scope. not going to make it out alive, are we?
William Tell Squadron, this is Colonel Walker. Let's go. Light up a base.
Taking heavy casualties. There's too many of them.
We've got half of them so far. Stay focused.
Transfer auxiliary power to the forward shields.
Man, that thing was a tough nut to crack.
We can't achieve victory through strength of arms, but we can give Blair a chance.
All right, so that was Wing Commander Saga. When we come back from break, we'll be joined by Andrea Rene from Machinima. We'll be taking a moment to interview her, and then I'll be taking your questions in the chat and on the feed. You can also like us at facebook.com/nowloadingtv, and you can join into the chat there. We'll be back in just a minute.
So here we are with Andrea, manager of content development at Machinima.
That's right. You got it.
So can you go and tell us a little bit about that job? What exactly do you do?
Well, I actually just started working for Machinima. Before that, I was working at Clever Games with you know, the Clever Media crew over there. I love all of my clever family. And now that I'm at Machinima, I am working in, like you said, content development. I'm working primarily with the director's program. So if you guys are interested, people out there interested in having a show with us or pitching us your show ideas, that is kind of what in the department that I work in. So we work with people within our partners program and our director's program to create new original content for YouTube.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, you guys have a lot of great shows like the Fighterpedia, How to Annoy People in Call of Duty.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
We actually just launched a couple new shows. We were working with one of our partners, Bro Team, that launched just a couple days ago. So it's really, really funny. I highly recommend you guys check it out. We also have a brand new documentary series called Save Point, and the first season is about the history of Machinima Respawn. So it's also very interesting as well to kind of get an inside look as to how, you know, Respawn and the Respawn community really kind of came to fruition. So that's just two of many. We have lots of awesome stuff on our home channel.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
that's youtube.com/Machinima.
Yeah. So how did you get involved in it? How did you get involved in the gaming world? Like, how did you get started?
Well, I've been a lifelong gamer. I mean, I think we all, you know, can remember back when we were kids playing on our Nintendo with Mario, and maybe even before that, you know, if you're a little bit older than me, played with some of the other systems. But I never thought that I could make it into like a career or a job even, or even get paid to do it. It's just one of those passion things, you know, that you love to do and you love to play. And I went to school at the University of Minnesota for broadcast journalism, and then I wanted to come out to LA to do entertainment hosting, and then I answered a casting call to work the show floor at E3.
Oh.
Now, of course, everyone out there knows as a video game fan, it's everyone's dream to go to E3 because as a general consumer, you don't get to go. It's like for trade and media only. So it's like, for me, I was like, you don't even have to pay me. I don't care. Just let me go to E3 and I will cover it for you. And I covered that for the Bit Bag. I have to give a big shout out to Torrance Davis, who gave me my first video games job. So really love that side. A bunch of hardworking guys there. So that's how I got started. And then more jobs just kept coming. And then eventually I started doing Mahalo Video Games Today and hosting This Week in Video Games on the This Week in Network. And, you know, just a bunch of freelance jobs, and now I'm working full-time at Machinima.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, seeing as you're a gamer girl, what have you been playing recently?
Gamer girl. It's a loaded word, gamer girl. Well, as we were talking about earlier, I just got done playing Journey, which is phenomenal. But I've been really obsessed with Mass Effect multiplayer, Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. So my fans out there know that I'm a huge Mass Effect fangirl, and I was really excited for Mass Effect 3 to launch. And now that I've finished the campaign, I'm not quite ready to go back for another playthrough just yet. Still trying to process that crazy ending, but the multiplayer is a lot of fun, and they're having a extra 25% XP weekend. So if you guys want to play, just saying, you should jump on. It's fun.
So Shane, is there anybody?
Yeah. First question is going to be from Curtis AG. He
asked, Curtis.
He says he's a fan of yours. Obviously, you know.
I know Curtis.
But disappointed that you're not on the camera as much discussing games as you were when you were with Clever Games. So when do we get a chance to see you on gaming news again?
Very soon. I can't say any details right now because things aren't finalized, but if you guys follow me on Twitter, there will be an announcement soon about where you can see me on camera. So.
Cool. What's your Twitter name?
At Andrea Rene.
Nice. Okay. Next question is going to be from She's a Renegade, and she would like to know, what is the very first game you remember playing?
The very first game I remember playing would probably have to be... the original Super Mario Brothers on NES. I just really remember spending time Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, Paperboy. Of course, we all played Pac-Man in the arcade, and I spent hours and hours and hours playing the X-Men arcade game, the Simpsons arcade game at the local roller rink, because my parents were big roller skaters, so I was in roller skates by the age of 3, so I always was at the roller rink playing the arcade games.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said the X-Men arcade game, because I remember there was an NES X-Men game that was terrible.
Yeah, I don't think I ever played that one.
Oh, it was so bad. It was one of the worst rentals. Like, when you have like a $5 allowance a week, and that $5 goes to a game that bad, it stings and stays with you.
Absolutely.
Next question is going to be from the Tiff. She would like to know what your thoughts are on streaming shows versus TV shows. So I think the question is there's like, you know, a live show kind of like our format versus a pre-recorded show that's up on the internet. Like, what's your feeling about the pros and cons between those two formats?
Oh wow, that's kind of a broad question. I mean, they have their pros and cons. Both of them do. Obviously, when you're doing a live format, there's that immediate interactivity with the people who are watching, which is fantastic, and I really love doing live. And you can do something longer. You know, you can do a 20, 30, 60-minute, even 2-hour show when you're live, because, you know, the audience is always changing, and, you know, what you're talking about is always, you know, changing as well, because you're basing it off of feedback. However, you can't do some of the cool production stuff that you can do when you do something that's edited and produced and then put up as like a standalone video. So I mean, I guess it kind of depends what kind of content you're creating.
And also, if you say somebody's name wrong, it's already on there. You can't do anything.
It's out there in space. There's no taking it back. Yeah.
No going back. Cool. Sorry. All right, and then our last question is going to be again from Curtis AG. He wants to know if you play any racing games.
I do. I love racing games. It was one of my favorite genres when I was growing up. What's that face?
I'm sorry. Like I am horrible at racing games. So all right, there's two types of racing games. There's the arcadey ones like Need for Speed, and then you have Gran Turismo, which is
simulation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
which I don't like. I'm not a big fan of simulation games.
Okay, so you're an arcadey person.
Yeah. The Burnout series is my favorite series.
I was just about to say Burnout.
Of racing games. Revenge is was my absolute favorite. I did really like what they did with Paradise, and I actually predicted that they're going to announce a Burnout 6 this year. It's
so.
That's my burning desire anyway.
Well,
now that
Paradise is
Criterion
yeah.
is done with the Need for Speed, I mean they're not done. I mean, but they released the Run last year, so I'm hoping that they're going to switch back too.
Yeah, I'm with you. I love the Underground series from Need for Speed, and I hope there's a new Burnout because they just announced that they're pulling the servers for Revenge, or Paradise. So
that's not super shocking. I was pretty disappointed with Burnout Crash, which they with the little kind of top-down like downloadable title. I was like, if they had made that an actual 3D game like it was in Revenge, I would have loved that. But I was like, no, I need 3D. I don't want top-down Burnout.
Yeah.
So I was a little disappointed.
So when you play a racing game, are you in like which view do you pick? Are you in there or are you behind?
This is getting down to brass tacks here.
I like the third-person view from behind the car. I feel a little claustrophobic when you're like inside the windshield. Again, that's more of a simulation type thing, right?
It is.
So, I mean, I remember playing the off-road arcade game with the monster trucks.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
We need to bring that back.
My dad, one of the few games that he played was one of the NASCAR series back when it was on the PC. It was simulation style. He would only race in the cockpit, in the car with 100% race length. So his races were literally like 300 laps. He'd be sitting at the computer for 4 hours.
That's crazy.
He wanted the experience. He wanted the life, and I commend the people that can do that.
Absolutely,
but,
and I'm glad there are games out there, like Forza and Gran Turismo, that can give them that experience. It's just not for me.
Right, exactly. Give me the crashing and burning, because I'm not so good at racing. I'm great at crashing.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. So what's your favorite game genre then? Like, what gets you going?
I don't think I have like a favorite genre. I mean, I really love platformers. I like puzzle games. I like action RPGs. I have been recently getting more into first-person shooters. I'm really excited for Borderlands 2 coming out later this year. So, I mean, there's just so many different kinds of games coming out. I mean, across so many different platforms.
Yeah.
Facebook games, iPad games, downloadable games, mobile phone games, and of course, the full AAA console titles. So.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, why do I have to pick just one? Don't make me pick one.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like you were talking about with the Facebook games and everything like that. Like, there's so many free and cheaper ones that I think that, eventually AAAs are gonna have an issue with price. That eventually, because I mean, one of our stories earlier was about One-on-One Story, which was free, and it was a really fun game. And then you have games coming out that's $60, and so there may eventually become a pull, between the two. So
we're already seeing that. I mean, the rise of free-to-play was huge last year in 2011, and well-known, established franchises like EverQuest and Tribes and things like that are like, we have to go free-to-play to kind of compete. I don't think we're ever going to see like the disappearance of the $60 AAA game, just because it does. I mean, we need that kind of blockbuster factor to the game space. But you are seeing a lot of really well-known developers who have had long, successful careers working with major publishers that are now like, I want to go to the indie space. So, I mean, I'm really excited to see what some of those people can do, kind of like on this mobile, or even Flash and browser-based game kind of platforms. So
exactly.
On that note, we got one more question from the chat here. V-Ballin wants to know, and I'll give you guys both the chance to answer. What do you prefer, Angry Birds or Draw Something?
Oh, Angry Birds, of course.
Oh,
of course, Angry Birds.
Draw something.
What?
I'm sorry. It's a bunch of birds that you just.
Wait a minute. How much time have you spent with Angry Birds? Realistically.
2 hours.
See,
that's he hasn't scratched the surface.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there's so many different kinds of Angry Birds.
See, now we're getting into the whole argument about Final Fantasy. Was it X2 or Final Fantasy 12? Or the first 20 hours are just lead up to the good part. It's like
no. I'm not saying that. I'm saying there's so many different iterations of Angry Birds. I'm not even saying like once you're 2 hours into one type of Angry Birds. I'm like, they have like the winter holiday, the Valentine's, the Halloween.
Space is about to come
out
too.
They have Angry Birds Rio. I mean, they're just adorable.
Well, even though I don't play it, I certainly see advertising for them everywhere I go.
They do know how to market.
Over 500 million downloads or something crazy like that?
Yeah.
It's bananas. And now they're doing Angry Birds themed children's parks in Europe.
Yeah,
did you see that?
I saw that.
Yeah, they're starting in Finland, where Rovio is from.
Wow.
But Angry Birds Mania, and I'm okay with it. Like, at least it's a good, well thought out game that's actually challenging.
True.
So
I mean, and I'm not saying that Angry Birds is bad in any way. It just didn't grasp me as it does, so many other people.
It's okay. You can be like the one guy that doesn't like Angry Birds.
That's fine.
It's okay. I figured it out how Will rates games. If he's not good at it, it's not a good game. You don't like racing games because you're not good at them, and you don't like Angry Birds because you're not good at it. So there you go. You only like games that you can completely school people on. I see you now. I understand you now.
I love fighting games.
Well, it's one of those things that you put more time into the games that you enjoy.
Of course.
It doesn't mean that they're bad games. It just means games in and of themselves are supposed to be for fun, for pleasure, something that brings you happiness or joy or whatever you want to call it. And you want to put your time into the stuff that you have fun playing. And if you don't have fun playing racing games, then you don't have to like them. That's cool. Just don't hate me for liking them.
Oh, I certainly don't.
All right, good. Now that we laid down the law there.
Exactly. I hate you for completely other reasons.
It's okay. I'm going to beat him up after the show anyway.
I know.
Because he messed up my name.
Yeah.
Next week, Will with the black eye.
Ooh, you would look at an eye patch. I like that plan. All right, we're going to take a quick break again, and then Will and I will be back to make a brief announcement. But thanks again to Andrea Rene for being here tonight and helping us out.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And we'll be back in just a minute. Hi, welcome back. We had a contest last week, a giveaway from WonderCon. We had some swag for winners. We have our 4 winners, which will be contacting you via Facebook shortly. Yep. So to those of you that win, please make sure to give us your addresses. If you didn't win, we still love you, and please continue to watch the show, and don't hate us. Don't write us angry letters. I mean, you know what? Actually, no. Do write us angry letters, because I love the feedback. So just send it my way. You can get me at rshanebingham@gmail.com. Just come on, or rshanebingham at Twitter. Just throw it at me.
Attach an angry bird to the photo.
Yeah. So coming up later this week, on Monday, we're going to have our Top Pick show. On Tuesday, we'll be on the stream.
Probably Warriors Orochi 3.
Nice.
Yeah. I've been waiting for it for a little bit, and if not, Twisted Metal. Always good.
Always nice. On Wednesday, we'll be back to, I'll be taking over the stream, and I'll be doing the last half of the Dragon Soul raid in World of Warcraft. We'll see if my poor little machine can handle it.
We'll see.
You never know. It'll be a great slideshow gallery of the Dragon Soul raid.
So make sure to hit print screen so you can send it to us in the hate letters.
Yeah, send it in the hate mail. So if you like the show, you can like us at facebook.com/nowloadingtv. You can follow us on Twitter at nowloadingtv. And make sure to watch us every Saturday night at 8 o'clock here at ustream.tv/nowloadingtv.
Yeah. So that'll wrap us up for this week. See you next week.
All right, thanks for watching. Have a good night.
Night.
I don't need music. I just dance.
Yeah.